Kia ora, folks. This is the FWW Podcast. My name's Tommy. I'm a therapist, musician, father, medicine person. This podcast has been airing on the fucking internet for about 3 weeks now, and I've still only put up to like episode 12. So everyone's asking me in my life, bro, are you alright? You getting some sleep yet? You fucking do we need to call the doctor? Like, I think you need some help, Tommy. People coming up to me. I had this lady come up to me at the gym and say, hey, look, man, I think you need someone to talk to. She was concerned about me. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, sweetie. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, everybody. Truth is, those were all recorded 4 weeks ago while I was either in the middle of this fucking breakdown or I was just coming out the end. But I've been out the end of it now for like 3 weeks. Last night I had the most sleep I've had probably in a year's time. It was just under 8 hours. It was like 7.5 hours. But I didn't get up and go to the toilet in the middle of it. It was like I actually slept for 7.5 hours. I don't know if that's happened since I was 7. I'm doing really well, guys. I'm doing really well. By the time you see this, you'll already know it. But it's funny because my day-to-day life is out of sync with the way I'm releasing this shit. I think the last 5-6 episodes I was doing pretty fucking well. They just haven't, no one's seen any of them yet. It's really beautiful to hear that people are liking this show. I sat down here today wondering which topic I was going to do. I looked at my phone. I've got a memo called, a notepad, whatever the fuck it's called. An app on my phone where I write down things that I might talk about for an episode. And I was like, what am I going to talk about today? And I looked at them all and I wasn't that interested in any of them. And so I shut my eyes and did a little karakia and said, now, what should I talk about, Spirit? Because I decided from now on I only want to talk about topics. I think I've always been trying to do this, but I just thought this is a better way of doing it. Like, what is the web of life? What does Spirit want me to talk about? Like, what would be useful? Not just what do I think's a funny story, or what do I think's interesting? What would be useful? And so I sit there with my eyes shut. And I'm like, Great Spirit, Thy will be done. Let me do this podcast not for my own, not for my own glory or fucking ego, but to do something that will be useful. And they were like, tell them about that sex doll, bro. I was like, I don't want to tell them about the sex doll. They're like, no, tell them about the sex doll. That'll be funny. I'm like, that's not funny. That makes me look like a fucking idiot. They're like, yeah. I've been rounding up guests. I've been rounding up guests for half of this season or for season 3 or something. And I tell all the guests, it's not about selling your product. It's not about telling them about your fucking cacao ceremony business or about your new album. The podcast is having real conversations where we get vulnerable and like really take off those layers of ego and get really honest. And they're like, you want all them to get honest? You don't mind getting honest when it's about fucking crying? You don't mind honest when it's whinging about not fucking sleeping? Tell them about your sex doll, bro. I'm like, oh, they don't need to know about that. They're like, nah, they need to know about that. They need to know about that. If you're going to talk all this shit about how you fucking, you're not the fucking guy with the buffalo tooth at the ecstatic dance class and they're all the fucking poser hippie fucking, but you're the fucking real guy who tells it how it really is. Tell them about your fucking sex doll, bro. Then we'll see how fucking real you are. Oh, shit, man. Okay. So, having been in a relationship, not having much sex for a long time, at a certain point, I don't know where I heard about these. I don't know if an ad came up or I just went looking, but I thought maybe it would be fun to instead of pleasuring myself with my hand, to have a sex doll. And I thought there's probably better sex dolls nowadays than blow up basically fucking a Lilo. And so I found out there's these sex dolls made out of like high quality. I don't know. I don't know if it's rubber or it's something like, but a very silicone. Maybe silicone's a thing, something like that. And it's a high quality substance. But I think to get one with a face and like arms and legs probably costs thousands of dollars. So I found, I'm always looking for a bargain, you know what I mean? Like I've never had a lot of money in my life. And so I found a cheaper one, and this cheaper one is just a torso. It's just a bottom and breasts and and a vagina. It doesn't have any arms. It doesn't have a face. And I tell you what, nothing makes you feel more spiritual than having sex with a rubber tits and ass and vagina. Nothing makes you feel more proud. Nothing makes you feel more proud as a man than just like rutting away like a sad, horny dog on a piece of rubber with no head. Doesn't even have arms. Doesn't even have forearms. It's chopped off at the fucking elbow. This poor doll. This poor maimed doll. It couldn't crawl away, even if it was animist. It couldn't get away from it. It doesn't have legs. It doesn't even have knees. It's chopped off at the thigh and the elbow. It doesn't even have a head. There's nothing for me to even kiss, And I mean, I'll be honest with you. The feel, if we're talking at a feel level, the feel level is quite exceptional, but it's cold. It's cold down there, folks. It doesn't have the heat. It doesn't have that beautiful heat of a woman. I am animist. I do believe everything is consciousness. I even told you guys a Coke can was consciousness. I don't know. This one exception might be these rubber dolls. They don't seem to be in consciousness at all. Oh God. So it doesn't instill me with great pride, and I'm not sure why they wanted me to tell you about this. Okay, so here's what happened, guys. Here's what happened. So this doll has been in a box in a cupboard, in the hot water cupboard, actually, as it happens. So you'd think it would be warm. And I haven't pulled that doll out for about 3 years. About 3 years that I was with this wonderful partner of mine. It's not the kind of sex toy that really you bring into it's like, vibrators and dildos and other things you might pull out to play with your partner. This sex doll is not. It's not for group play. No one wants to see that shit, I don't think. Anyway, so it's been in that box. So I pull it out. Now I'm getting real with you. Look, here's the funny thing. We don't talk much as a society about masturbating, do we? Right? Like, that's not cool at all. That's really not cool. Guys fucking love the thought of women masturbating. We want to hear all about it, but we don't want to admit that we do it, In New Zealand, that is even more true. Like, I remember going to America. I've only been there once, and I was in LA, and I was walking down the main street of LA, right? Is that the Sunset Strip? Is that what it is? Sunset Strip, maybe? Or something, Hollywood Boulevard? Sunset Strip? I don't know. Anyway, the cool one with fucking, what are those amazing places? There's amazing live music venues, like House of Blues and the Roxy, and another one. We're fucking we're like bands back in the like venues that have been around since the 60s, like incredible fucking music venues. Anyway, and right in amongst these iconic music venues where you could go any night of the week and might bump into fucking David Crosby, is this fucking giant this giant adult store, right? And not only is it a giant fucking adult store, in New Zealand, just so you guys know, adult stores are like little tiny doorways. And like, they're not really advertised. So you sneak in and like pretend that you went into the wrong. When you come out, you look like this, like, oh shit, I went into the wrong store. You know what I mean? Like, no one in New Zealand is proudly going to a fucking adult store. In America, this is fucking like 10 years ago I was there, maybe 15 years ago. And the fucking walls are glass, and not one-way glass. Every motherfucker on the street can see you in there at this fucking adult store. And in there, what they'd done is they'd hired like beautiful young female staff, right? Like the kind of cool, good looking female staff you'd find in a cafe. And when you walk in, and you've got your head down because you're from New Zealand and you think this is the most shameful thing you've done, and you wish it wasn't fucking Windows, right? You wish it wasn't Windows because you're so feminist, you pretend you would never even look at porn, like fucking, because you know how disgusting the industry is, right? And your head's down and you're looking at sex toys and stuff because you want to pretend you've got no interest whatsoever in adult videos, even though you fucking love the idea of people having sex, right? Because I'm a man, I just love the idea of watching people have sex, but I'm not allowed to believe that because I'm a feminist. So I'm in the store just looking in a different section, and these beautiful fucking women come up to me with the fucking, what was it called? Hustler? Maybe it was Hustler magazine? I think it was a Hustler, maybe a Hustler store? Anyway, they come up wearing a fucking Hustler top, so they're obviously staff. Hey, how you doing? I'm like, I can't look you in the eye right now. I'm in a fucking porno. I'm in a porno store, and I'm like, oh, hi. It was the craziest experience of my life. They're like, what are you looking for? Can I help you with anything? I'm like, oh shit. Like, they're not like, it's all right. It's all right to like sex in America. It's all right. It's all right to want to fucking not be in the fucking, I don't know what sex toy section I was in. It's all right to go over to the place where the videos are. This girl who works here all day long is not going to say, oh, you like sex videos? That's fucking gross. Go back to New Zealand, you fucking pervert. You know what I mean? I'm like, it was a strange, beautiful, profound, liberating experience. And, yeah. So I start chatting away with this beautiful woman who's the same age as me, and we're talking about sex. And I'm like, this wouldn't happen in New Zealand. This is like crazy. And so it's also not very common in New Zealand to talk about, just so, I don't know, women know, guys don't really talk about masturbating with each other. We kind of don't really even admit to each other we do that shit. The only reason I'm so comfortable doing it, and I'm not comfortable in this moment fucking at all. I look probably pretty confident talking about this shit. Like I had this one plan. I did not have this one plan, guys. But I knew at some point I would say on this podcast about it, because how can you talk about sex if you're not going to talk about masturbation, if you're not going to talk about self-pleasure? When we were teenagers, man, when we were fucking teenagers, we had to act as if we knew what sex was, though we'd never had sex. We had to act as if we knew what sex was, but that we didn't know about masturbation. We had to pretend like through our whole, like in our crew, and I was at Wellington High, which was one of the most progressive schools in the fucking country, and we didn't talk about fucking pleasuring ourselves. No fucking way. No way. That was not okay. You can't wank. You know what I mean? It was an interesting dynamic. I mean, the one thing I will say, but we all did. We all did. We didn't pretend so much that we didn't do it. We just wouldn't talk about it. I talk about it more comfortably because I've got clients. You know what I mean? Like I got clients, and we've got to be able to talk openly about shit, man. This cool saying, I think I said it in an earlier episode, but you can't save your face and your ass at the same time. You know, obviously meaning that, you know, if you want to save your pride and your image and your dignity, at the expense of like your life, like you're going through anxiety or insomnia, or your marriage is falling apart, or you hate yourself because of compulsive activity, and you're going to pretend everything's all right so that you look better, so that people think everything's okay. That's more important than actually being honest and working a way out of this fucking shit, you know. So I got real comfortable talking about masturbation when I had to work with clients, because we have to be honest about this shit. And I try and lead by example. Not saying if you come to a therapy session with me, I'm going to start off going, man, I had a fucking beautiful wank last night. That's not what I mean. I don't lead by example in that way. You know what I mean? I just make it so obvious that that's a natural part of humanity that we can talk comfortably about it. I guess that's why I thought I'd have to do it on this podcast at some point. There's a shame about porn. And it's not a shame, it's a very true reality, right? Like watching mainstream porn, like on Pornhub or something, is the equivalent of eating like battery farm fucking chicken, you know, or battery farm pork or something. Like, we know that the porn industry is fucking hideous. It's what the porn industry was when I was a kid. Me and my friends would spend all our childhood in the bushes in the forest. We lived in Aro Valley. There's just so much beautiful Aotearoa in Aro Valley. Every fucking street has its own little fucking forest or whatever, and some of those forests connect to the forest in the other streets. There's some places you can go in the back streets of Aro Valley, or you used to be able to when I was a kid. You could cover the whole fucking territory, including somehow crossing the road, without ever crossing the road, just by staying in the forest. It was so beautiful. And I don't know what it was about those forests, but every now and then, like maybe a couple times a year, we get lucky, and someone would have been in that forest with pornographic magazines. and these porno, and this is what porn was back then. It was magazines, and it was just photos of women's breasts and their vaginas, but their vaginas were covered in pubic hair, and you didn't really even see. We didn't even know how you would get inside a vagina. It was just like this triangular, beautiful, very alluring triangular black mound. I didn't know that there was a clitoris in there somewhere, that there was labia or things. It was just like this beautiful, you just kind of wanted to get closer to. You wished it was real in front of you instead of just on this page. And I wouldn't have known what the fuck to do with one if one had come close to me. You know what I mean? I really thought it was what, when people tell you put a penis inside it, but there's no, how would you get inside that thing? It's just this black triangle. And my friends, they would find one of these, right? We'd be like, maybe say we were like 10 when we started finding them or noticing them. I guess maybe they'd always been there. And but we didn't used to notice, and we'd find one and we'd pick it up and start looking at it, and I'd say, oh, you dirty, don't be a dirty boy. We're not allowed to look at that, throw it away. And desperately I wanted to look at it. Desperately I wanted to see what was inside that fucking magazine, like my friend was. It's like, no, it's interesting. He's damn right it's fucking interesting. Why am I so fucking repressed? My mum was telling me about sex and all the different sex acts from a very fucking young age. I remember she was trying to tell my sister, and me and my brother walked in. We're like, what? And Ben, he's like 5 years old, and he goes, she said that she kisses dicks. I'm like, Mum, I'm fucking 5 years old. I'm like, please say you don't really kiss dicks. No, I'm saying we kiss. It was just saying sex is this beautiful thing between a man and woman. You know, she would have said between people. She had so many gay friends, but it's just a thing that people who love each other do, and you kiss them everywhere. What do you mean everywhere? That includes the dick. Please don't say you kiss a man's dick. I wouldn't care if she'd said a man kisses me on my vagina. I would have been like, oh, that's nice, Mum. I don't want my mum kissing a man's dick. I do not want that, you know, especially because she's the one who fucking told me what assholes they all are. So I'm like, these fucking assholes, I'm bad enough I'm born one of them, you fucking kissing their dicks? Fuck that. Now I'm looking at every one of Mum's boyfriend, I'm looking at them in a whole different light. Is she kissing this motherfucker's dick? You better not put your dick anywhere in my mum's mouth, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, that upset me, man. That really upset me. So I got this fucking shame. So I don't have any shame around sex. So Mum gave me these beautiful sex positive values, you know, and I remember being like 12 and saying, Mum, what if I'm not any good in bed? What if I'm a terrible lover? And she'd say, you will be a good lover, Tommy. And I said, oh, you don't know that. She'd go, you will be a good lover because you love woman. All it takes to be a good lover is you love woman and you love their bodies, you know? Just adore their bodies and you'll be a good lover, you know? I think that was pretty good advice. It's a good start anyway. So eventually I get cheeky enough to, yeah, okay guys, we will look at these pornos. And again, they're so tame, these pornos. You know, I'm fucking 11 and 12. I'm looking at breasts and bottoms and a mound of pubic hair. You know what I mean? 11, 12-year-old kids these days, and I know it's not lost on anyone, I don't need to be the one saying this, 11, 12-year-old boys these days, and even girls, they're not looking at some breasts and a bottom and a mound of pubic hair. If I wish to fuck that was as edgy as shit got for these generations of kids coming through, man. It makes me so sad. And in some ways I think you can understand how in a world that has gotten so progressive, that now trans kids can go to school without getting bullied, let alone gay kids can go to school without getting bullied. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that's the standard. I'm not saying there's not incredible discrimination and stigma against these people. But I'm saying in some progressive high schools and some progressive groups of friends and stuff, these people are actually doing okay in certain towns in New Zealand, at least. I'm not in any way saying stigma or discrimination has gotten better in your town, or for your kids, or for your loved ones who are trans, or for your loved ones who are gay. Of course, there's huge amounts of it, but I'm just saying, in progressive towns and progressive cities in the world, things have gotten progressively better in terms of that discrimination, in terms of how safe people feel to talk openly about that stuff, you know. And yet, in those same towns, I'm counseling women, or I've got friends who are female, who are telling me stories about the treatment they get from men that is fucking horrific. And I think to myself, how is it fucking possible in fucking 2024 that men are still doing this shit? And then I'm like, because their fucking sex education isn't a wonderful feminist mother who's telling them about loving women's bodies and honoring women, and all it takes to be as a good lover is loving women and respecting women. They're learning about sex education from fucking gangbangs where the women only want anal sex while they're being strangled, you know? Fucking hell, man. Fucking hell. What a fucking way to learn about sex. What expectations to have in your mind, you know, about what a woman might want. Sorry when I talk about the shit so heteronormative, folks. I apologize in advance. I know that porn would be having an equally fucking sinister impact on all different types of dynamics and sexual relationships and sexualities. But as you know, I don't do research and shit like that. I always just talk from my own experience. So anyway, I've had this fucking love-hate relationship with porn, right? Because obviously I fucking hate an industry that perpetuates fucking sexual violence. I hate a fucking industry where the people in it may well be being exploited. You know what I mean? The way I've kind of let myself off the hook over the years has been like, well, the searches I do. So if I'm on Pornhub, it'll be like feminist porn. It's like feminist bitch gets ass fucked. Those will be the names of the fucking video clips that come up. You look for feminist porn. Like, are you fucking kidding me? That's horrendous. So I had this beautiful partner once, and I was telling her this dilemma. It's like every now and then I'm never watching porn again. I'm never watching porn. It's fucking disgusting. I don't want to support that industry. It's fucking gross. You know what I mean? I hate it. Funny thing is, even as a fucking teenager, I used to do the same thing. Every year or two, I would get whatever magazines I'd accumulated, and I would put them all in the fireplace. I'd burn them all. It's like, I'm never doing that again. This is an industry. Back then, it was just images of women's bottoms and fucking breasts, and I'd be burning them all. This Irish Catholic guilt thing, you know? And here's where I've landed now, folks. Here's where I've landed now. I love sex. I love it. It's this beautiful fucking life force thing that we've all got inside of us. That cheeky fucking fiery Shakti fucking energy, man. It's beautiful. It's sacred, right? I'm not ashamed of the fact that I like sex. I'm not ashamed of the fact that I pleasure myself, and sometimes it's like a sad fucking desperate dog with this rubber fucking sex doll. It's embarrassing as shit. You know, it's embarrassing as hell, but it's the nature of reality, right? Sometimes you want an experience that's a little bit different than just your hand. And you know, it's this silicone headless fucking thing that I can pull out of my cupboard. Oh yeah, but I don't talk about it to my friends. They're all gonna know now. But fucking 3 days ago, So I live in a house separate to my family. I live on a bedsit on the same property. I don't have a kitchen or anything, so it's just like a bedroom. It's more like a bedroom, a separate bedroom, but it does have its own bathroom. And I had left it out, covered in a towel behind my door to the bathroom. But when you open the bathroom door, it's obvious something's behind there. And so the mother of my kids, on her nights off, I'm up in the house, and she'll come down into my room sometimes and hang out with herself. Or this night she was hanging out with a friend. Even better, she's hanging out with a friend. I've forgotten. So when she would have gone into the bathroom, or her friend would have gone into the bathroom, there's something behind the door. Now it's covered in a towel, but when I came back down after looking after the kids for the night and swapped over, and she went back up, I went to the bathroom and bumped the door, and I was like, oh fuck. And I looked behind the door, and yeah, it's covered in a towel, but the towel perfectly looks like it's covering just the torso of a woman. So they're either going to think, when they bump the door and go, well, what's behind the door, and look behind, they're knowing me the way they do, they're going to know it's not a chainsawed up and real woman, and it's the torso of a real woman, because it's clearly the torso of a woman. And they know I don't sew, and I've got coat hangers for my clothes, so it's not that there will be a mannequin that's hiding behind the door. And they will have known it's a sex toy. I didn't ask her yet. I'm gonna ask her because it's fucking obvious they found out. And they will have I've got to see this shit. If this is if Tommy's got a fucking half doll, fucking a maimed doll, a maimed woman sex toy, I'm gonna fucking, and they would have opened the toilet and they would have seen. It's embarrassing as hell. That's embarrassing as hell. Maybe it's the embarrassment of that's led me to. I may as well fucking do it now because I'm gonna have to have a conversation with her at some point. It's just I haven't seen her much in the last 2 days. Otherwise, I'd have mentioned it already. This amazing woman, I was halfway through another story. This amazing lover of mine goes, "Hey, look, Tommy, don't you know? There's these sites that are like feminist porn sites that are they're not free. You got to pay for them, but they're like, I'm on one." She goes, "I'll give you my access code," and this one was. Every director was only made by all the clips. They were only made by female directors, and they were made by fucking cool, funky people who were like, you know, there would be bisexual people and transsexual people, and they all had tattoos and fucking piercings, and they all were laughing and giggling, and when they were changing position, it wasn't just like this fucking slick transition. It's like you'd see that, you know, like, and there was like films that they'd made themselves, and it was so fucking beautiful and open and wholesome and clearly all about consent and respect, and it was so nice. It was fucking beautiful. And then a couple years later, when I found myself in a similar position, fucking not wanting to be on Pornhub because I do not fucking respect that company at fucking all, I found out about this other site, which was in fact, I'll tell you the name of it. Why be ashamed of it? And it's called Lustery. And Lustery is only submissions of couples themselves. So it's couples who get off on the idea of people watching them have sex, and they film their own sex. And again, there's this beautiful, these are couples, they care about each other, they like each other, or they're play partners or sex partners, whatever, but it's total consent, it's total respect, and there's often this kind of love or this connection between them, and it's real beautiful. Again, it costs money as opposed to Pornhub and all those other ones that are free, but fuck, it's worth the price of admission, folks, to not feel fucking guilt and shame like you're perpetuating this horrible fucking industry. So, yeah. That's the solution for people. And it's like, you know, the truth is, when I was younger, it wasn't even because I knew the industry was fucked, because I didn't know how fucked the industry was. I just felt ashamed that I liked watching people have sex. It probably wasn't until I had girlfriends, it wasn't even until I had girlfriends who told me they liked porn that I felt okay about it. It was hearing women say that they found watching other people have sex, videos of other people have sex, sexy. And it was like, oh, thank God. Oh, thank God! I'm allowed to find that sexy. I'm allowed to find that sexy. Okay, so I was thinking there's so many other stories I could talk now to do with sex and to do with shame and embarrassment around sex and stuff. But self-pleasure and porn is probably enough to bite off for one episode. Okay. Anything else on that topic? The freestyle today is probably not going to be about this topic. I already told you guys, if the freestyles happen to say something similar about the topic, that's a coincidence. You shouldn't have the expectation. Don't have expectations of me. It's bad enough that I tell you about this shit, let alone fucking think I'm going to fucking pull out a freestyle about it. Here's the thing. I don't think I've hardly ever done any freestyles or even written songs about sex. I think I've got 2 songs about sex. One's called Taste. That album got taken off Spotify. Fuck, I can't even send you a link to it. Damn it. It's kind of not quite in tune, but it's kind of in tune. One by one, take it high. I say, one by one, take the fire. I say, one by one, take the fire. I say, one by one, take the fire. I say, one by one, we can touch the fire. I say, one by one, we can take the fire. I say, one by one, we can touch the fire. I say, one by one, we come down. We come down, we look around, we see what we found, and we love that sound, just open the fire. testify. We look around, testify. Now we look around, testify. I said one by one, testify. One by one, testify. I said one by one, testify. I said one by one, we can testify. I said one by one, we go testify about the light of the stars, about the taste of the night, about these feelings of ours, about the reasons we fight, about the things in our hearts, about the things in our pride, about it falling apart. We gon' feel it inside, and we don't know what we are, but we gon' take it tonight. I'm gonna say these lines for the taste of the time, for the place in my mind where I look deep inside, my third eye open wide. I got a spiritual rising inside. I can feel it getting sticky with the ego being denied. And you know you wanna do it, but it's just a little lie. You can take it to the fire, you can burn and testify. By one, we go testify. I said one by one, we gon' testify. I said one by one, we gon' testify. You know, one by one, we gon' testify. Because one by one, we gon' testify. You said one by one, we gon' testify. It's like one by one, we gon' testify. It's like one by one, we go one at a time, and we can take it inside. When we spin these rhymes, and we're holding the ground, compelled for the rest, for the days of our life. We were born here tonight, we gon' die here tonight. We gon' take all this time to make it right. It's a hard way coming down this way. I feel dismay, disapproval in me. I don't know what I'm spitting when I'm singing every single day. Well, the gifts that I've been bringing. Oh, punish me, Lord. I'm a sinner inside. You can tell that I fight all these things that I hide. I don't want to admit these dirty thoughts in my mind. These dirty thoughts, you know, one by one, we gon' testify. You know, one by one, we gon' testify. I said one by one, we gon' testify. It's like one by one. Hey, folks. I hear you've been sharing this podcast because I've been having all sorts of people I didn't think were Facebook friends with me talking about this podcast, and I really appreciate it. It's like I said, there's no way it's not monetized. I don't get any money from it, but I would love it if you share the word. Not this one. Don't let everyone know I fucking masturbate. That's embarrassing. Just share them one of the good ones, okay? Please share this. Please, but you can share them whatever fucking one you like, whatever one you thought was of value to you. But yeah, you know, the takeaway from this one isn't Tommy masturbates. That's not the take-home message from this. The take-home message from this is fucking love yourself, be honest about yourself, and don't feel a fucking ashamed of being a human, man. Don't feel ashamed of being a human. We all do it.